Max Ayres stared at the hole in his self-portrait, the gash marring what was once a vibrant representation of himself. The flames had claimed so much. The canvases he had poured his soul into were now reduced to charred remnants. As he surveyed his modest council flat, the walls blackened and the ceiling sagging, he felt the weight of his past pressing around him. "Got on like a house on fire doesn't sit well with me anymore." A wry smile barely lifting the corners of his mouth. It was September, months since the fire had ravaged his home while he lay in a hospital bed, recovering from pneumonia. Now, this temporary relocation felt like an endless purgatory. Art had always been his refuge, a language he spoke fluently despite never having sold a piece. "I don't do it for money," he declared. "You don't make money from natural ability. It's for art and people. If I sold, I'd have to register for income tax." It was a quirk of his philosophy that kept him true to his vision, even as his world burned. In the wake of the fire, paintbrushes had disintegrated like dry straw, and oil paintings melted against the walls, creating strange and haunting images reminiscent of Francis Bacon or Goya's darker works. One self-portrait had transformed into a nightmarish vision, black bubbles oozing from the canvas, while others were cracked and distorted from the intense heat. Max's relationship with art began at the tender age of 8, in a field filled with goats. He never strayed far from his hometown of Lee, Greater Manchester, never seeking formal training. At 72, he had never traveled abroad and never married, but he had never stopped painting. Yet bad luck had shadowed him throughout his life. Childhood ailments, measles, chickenpox, and relentless earaches had left him isolated. Friends were few, and he often reminisced about the late-night moon-gazing sessions with a boy named David. "Of course not," he had declared when asked if people might ever walk on the moon. To him, dreams often felt just out of reach. Even as an adult, the world continued to conspire against him. He remembered the day he was thrown out of a Beethoven performance for being covered in paint, and the bitterness of losing nearly 24 paintings when Lee Infirmary carelessly discarded his donations. But nothing compared to the loss of his father, Joseph, a master builder who had passed when Max was just 13. That wound ran deep, and he seldom spoke of it, though a framed portrait of his father remained the only family picture in his flat. A 1992 interview painted a picture of the depression that consumed him after Joseph's death, a dark cloud that lingered for years. His health struggles left him housebound by 2013, relying on carers to bring him supplies. Then he began painting self-portraits and mundane shopping trips instead of the industrial landscapes he loved. The mayor and mayoress, he mused, remembering the giant engines he longed to capture, now housed in the renovated spinner's mill. He had planned to exhibit his collection there just a month before the fire. "I always felt I'd underachieved," he admitted, regret shadowing his voice. "I never learned to drive, and my reliance on others limited my horizons." The day he learned of the fire was a blur. Numbness washed over him. He wished he could have done something practical, called the fire department, and turned off the electricity. Instead, he lay in a hospital bed, feeling like a ghost in his own life. Though there was interest in displaying his damaged works, he hesitated. Angie Ryan, the local gallery coordinator, had been eager to raise funds for restoration, but he couldn't shake the feeling that these remnants didn't represent the artist he aspired to be. "They're transformed, yes," she encouraged. "They tell a different story." Max considered her words, watching the shadows dance on the soot-covered walls. The saved portions of his canvases bore the imprint of their stretcher bars, ghostly crosses against the dark, a fitting symbol for someone who had danced with death. He was, in many ways, an outsider artist, untouched by the conventional art world. He'd likely sell paintings if he wanted, but his focus lay elsewhere, on human potential, resilience, and rebirth. "Art represents human achievement," he said, determination igniting within him. "Before we can achieve anything, we need sight, a goal, and a belief in the possible." Every day, he picked up his brush, painting not just to reclaim what was lost, but to create anew. As the sun set over Lee, Max Ayres embraced the power of creation, transforming his pain into art, each stroke a testament to survival, vision, and the enduring hope of a man who refused to be extinguished by the flames.